All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So obviously the Jets are 3-3. I'm pumped up about it. I know a lot of Jets fans are pumped up about it. And something else that's really, really cool is the fact that, you know, when I think about the Jets going into the season, right, when I rewind a couple months and I'm thinking about the fully healthy squad, right, AVT, Aaron Rodgers, obviously, I was kind of hoping for 4-2. Like, everybody knew, whether you're a Jet fan or not, everybody knew that the schedule to start out featured a lot of really good coaches, a lot of really good defenses, a lot of really good quarterbacks, and it was always looked at, the Jets schedule was always looked at as, man, this is going to be a gauntlet up front, but if we could kind of get to that halfway point and we're in a good position, we could go on a run late. Now, I don't want to sit here and assume wins or anything like that, but I will say for the Jets to be sitting here right now after 6 weeks at 3-3, 500, right? It's kind of like a clean slate. We're not digging ourselves out of a hole or anything like that. A clean slate at 500, going into the bye week to have 2 weeks to prepare for the one-win New York Giants. This is absolutely huge. Absolutely huge. With all of the, all of the different moments of adversity that the Jets have had to face this season, right? Again, I was hoping for 4-2 with the fully healthy squad led by Aaron Rodgers. We're depleted. We got Zach Wilson out there. We look clunky early on, and yet we're 3-3 at the same exact point that I was hoping to be 4-2. So I'm totally excited. Of course, it is up to the Jets coaches, players to continue to execute, not get too high, not get too low, that sort of thing, right? Just stay on the right track here. And understand that the job isn't done. But in this one, I really wanted to ask the question, do you think that the Jets are going to be buyers at the trade deadline, right? Again, we have the bye week, then we have the Giant game a couple days after. I think it's actually on Halloween, if I'm not mistaken, October 31st at 4 o'clock. That's the trade deadline. And again, I don't want to sit here assuming wins or anything like that, but if the Jets can go and knock off the Giants, we're looking at 4-3 in a stacked AFC. I mean, we're right there. We are right there. And of course, in today's day and age where, we have the extra playoff team, that third wild card make it in, I could very well see Joe Douglas maybe saying, hey, you know what? We really like that player. We really like this player over here. Let's do what we can to help upgrade this football team. I think for me, the biggest position right now is offensive line, tackle specifically, right? Of course, AVT going down for the season sucks, right? Such a good player, in my opinion, one of the anchors that I can see on this Jets offensive line for like the next 5 years. That's how at least 5 years. That's the type of, I hold AVT in such a high regard, right? He's such a good player. The versatility, the upside, the high floor, all these different things out for the season. Now, Mekhi Becton has actually looked solid at left tackle, which is great. All things considered, right? He was kind of in and out early on in training camp and preseason, all that kind of stuff. Missed the 2 previous seasons. To see him not really miss a beat at left tackle is huge. But now the question is, okay, is Max Mitchell going to be the team's starting right tackle from here on out? There was some talk about potentially moving Mekhi Becton over to right tackle when Dwayne Brown comes back. I'm not really the biggest fan of that. I'm not trying to fix something if it isn't broken. I'm just looking at right tackle as now a new position of need, as opposed to moving Becton over to right tackle. I think we should just keep him at LT, and he's going to continue to get better. That's at least my hope. So right tackle is the big position, and there's a couple guys out there that the Jets can target, one of which was Lyle Collins at free agency, who the Jets just worked out. But another is Taylor Moton from the Carolina Panthers, and I'm not necessarily saying that the Jets are going to go all in and trade like top end picks to go land like a superstar. I don't really feel like we have enough capital to do that. Financially speaking, we do, but if we think back to the Rodgers trade, we can't trade the first round pick. We can't trade the second round pick. We have a third round pick and then 2 fours. Personally, I don't want to deplete the draft. The draft class right now, like just when we're just looking at picks on paper. But with that said, if there's a starting caliber upgrade at right tackle that could be had in the trade market right before the trade deadline, and again, I'm thinking about the Jets in a stacked AFC at 4-3, and quick side tangent here, let's actually just take a look at the entire AFC as a whole. I mean, it's close. Currently, we're third in the AFC East. And, you know, if we start scanning through these different divisions, the one trend here that you'll see, there's a lot of teams with 5, 4, or 3 wins. You know, in fact, there's only 4 teams in the AFC that don't have that have less than 3 wins. It's the 1-5 Patriots, the 2-4 Titans, 1-5 Denver Broncos, and the 2-3 LA Chargers. Now, out of those 4, I could see the Chargers going on a run, right? Just based off of talent. Personally, New England has not looked good whatsoever. But I don't want to just discount them and just say, oh yeah, they're going to get 2 wins by the end of the year. But this New England Patriots team does not look impressive whatsoever. Just a total lack of speed, lack of explosion. And then obviously Ryan Tannehill dealing with the injury. So the point is, there's really only 4 teams right now that are lagging behind. But the rest of the conference is like right there, fighting for the division, fighting for the wild card spot. This is huge, right? I know there's been some talks, hey, the Jets might be sellers. And by sellers, it's kind of it's kind of weird because it's not the true sense of selling. We're not in a position like Denver where it's like, all right, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Garrett Bowles, you know, Josie Jewell, like all these different veteran pieces, we're just going to start trying to move off of. The rumor, at least, is that the Jets could move players that they don't use, like a Carl Lawson, like a McCall Hardman, like a Dalvin Cook, players like that. Like, these guys aren't like pivotal make or break pieces for the squad moving forward, which I would agree with in certain areas, but not in others. And of course, it depends on the compensation and that whole thing. But again, if I ask the question, do I think the Jets will be buyers at the deadline? I do think the answer is yes. I feel like we could always use help at wide receiver, right? Personally, I have not been impressed with what Randall Cobb has, you know, been looking like throughout these past couple of weeks. I feel like we could really upgrade at that specific spot. You know, it's kind of ironic here because we have speed, we have a deep threat on the roster in McCall Hardman. We don't use them. But ideally, you would like to at least have one guy that the team actually likes to use out there. One player that comes to mind is Hollywood Brown. But if we have a similar skill set type of guy in McCall Hardman for a cheaper price and he's already on the roster and knows the system and we're not using him, I don't necessarily know if the Jets are going to now give away an asset to take on more money in a guy in Hollywood Brown. So a bit of a weird situation there. But no, I think offensive line should be the priority. I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets maybe dabble in wide receiver or something else. I think, you know, certain positions we're fine at. Corner were great. Linebacker were great. Defensive end were great. Running backs as well. I don't see us adding another running back, and same with tight end. But it's interesting. It's interesting, and I would love to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section. And then, of course, I guess we'll throw this in there as well. As far as adding another quarterback goes, you know, Zach Wilson has been playing better. He has been taking steps in the right direction. Kirk Cousins had the report come out saying that he's not going to be waiving his no-trade clause. In other words, he's going to stick with the Vikings for the rest of the season. And then Ryan Tannehill, the other veteran, you know, starting potential upgrade that the Jets could have had, is injured. So what's the dynamic there? Not many people know. Right, I don't even know if the Titans want to continue with Tannehill for the rest of the season or maybe turn it over to Willis or Levis. We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And as always, go Jets.